Mm-hmm. Hello, everyone. This is Roger from ARJ Distribution, and welcome to this webinar today about an introduction to application delivery with Cameyo. Cameyo is our latest vendor that we have here at ARJ Distribution. They are based in the US, but they have staff all over the world, actually, in all kinds of time zones. It's a really cool product, really exciting to work with them, really interesting, and I hope you will find it to be interesting as well. We'll have a short agenda here. I'm not going to go through it point by point, but we'll try to cover these topics. So we'll have an introduction to Cameyo, and we'll talk a little bit about the architecture and how you can install and deploy the applications for in the cloud or on-prem. And also how can you provide access to the applications for your users? How does user data persistence work? What kind of licensing options do we have? And contacts and resources. Now there is a Q&A feature in the webinar Teams client. If you click there, you can type in questions that you may have. So please do that, and I'll try to answer them as we go or in the end. So let's go. So what is or why do we have Cameyo in our portfolio now? So this is the future of work, is remote work. This has been, topic for many years, but obviously the pandemic kind of lifted that even more. Now remote work has been what we have done. We have worked with a lot of Citrix environments or RDS environments and so on, but the digital workspace is changing. You need to be able to access applications and services from all kinds of platforms, whether that be on-prem or in the cloud or a mix of that. And you need to be able to do this usually from wherever you are at the moment. So this is kind of driving the need for a solution like Cameyo. Now, usually, as you go on and look at deploying a cloud strategy, there are some roadblocks, and one of the biggest ones and one of the common ones is that you start by moving maybe your Office 365 to the cloud, or use Google Docs or something like that, and then as you go on, you run into these legacy applications where you have maybe your CRM system or salary system or some very important application that you use in your business that is based on Windows. It's legacy, and well, you can't do anything with it, and you really need it. This is where Cameyo has a really huge place in this digital transformation process and can really help you. Now, if you're looking at Google Workspace and working with that, then Google works very closely with Cameyo on this, and this is a really good solution for helping you deploy Google Workspace and be successful with that, with deploying legacy applications, Windows applications onto, for example, Chromebooks, or you can use a Mac or Windows PC, whatever, but it's browser-based access to your application. Now, like I said, the traditional way have been maybe to use a virtual desktop infrastructure or a Citrix environment, whereas the other options would be to actually redevelop the application. Now, obviously, this is not easy projects, the application redevelopment. I know that I have been in projects before, maybe for 15 years ago, they were talking about we will have these applications webized or running in the web in the browser in 3 years from now, and they are still not in, have reached that goal to actually have a web app of that application 16 years later. So, it is not easy to replace applications and make them web-based applications. Now, the traditional way would also be to deploy a virtual desktop infrastructure for that. But depending on the size of the environment, this may or may not be a good idea, because there's a lot of overhead, a lot of complexity, and obviously, there's no one size fits all kind of thing. So some customers, this would be a really good solution. But for some, if you only have 1 or 2 applications, VDI environment may be a bit too much overhead for you, basically. So it's up to you, and you kind of maybe you need to look at something else. So we're going to go over to a demo of Cameyo, because I like to not do too many PowerPoint slides. So Cameyo has a management portal, and that is cloud-based. So when you set up an account with Cameyo, you will get a cloud access portal like the one we're seeing now. The login to this can either be based on you set up actual accounts in the actual portal, or you can integrate it with GCP, or you can integrate it with Azure Active Directory services and so on. So depending on what kind of authentication or user directory you have, you can pick and choose that. Now, as you can see, we have easy to understand web UI. So we see the last usage here in the sessions and so on. This is our demo system, so there's not super much information here, but you can see there's a dashboard, which is what we're viewing now. And this is the admin view, by the way. Now, under applications, we will have applications, and under servers, we have servers, and then we have some settings here. Up here, you can see my user account. And this is, well, basically I can go in and check my user profile. I can get some help and some stuff like that, and I can log out. Now, up here, we have a multi-tenancy settings, so that this can be set so that you can say, well, I want to add a new customer, or I want to change the customer. So I want to go from ARJ distribution to customer ABC. So I'll do that. So this is a blank customer, so there's nothing in there. And this is how it would look for you when you start trialing the solution. So what you would do is you would go to servers, and under servers, you have a selection of adding a server, quite obviously. And there's the management platform is hosted in the cloud, but you can deploy your workload or your servers where your applications are actually running, either in the cloud or on-prem, and that is on or a combination of this. So when you're using cloud server, there is elasticity, which basically means that if a server gets too loaded, it will automatically deploy a new one, and so on, so that it scales automatically. And as you create this, you can create the servers in a data center of your choice of GCP. This is also possible to do with Azure, but it needs to be in a discussion right now with Cameyo, and they can help you set it up in Azure as well. So fully elasticity as well. Self-hosted, you use your own hardware as you do today. You have your, you download software, you install it on your Windows server, and you can then get access to those applications as well. And then you will go here and you will get instructions on how to do that and so on. I'm going to go back to my my environment so that but this takes you through the UI for that. So now we are going back, and I have two servers. I have one on-prem server, and that is failing the test here, but this is a GCP server, and this is my on-prem server. And once I've set up the server, I can connect to it. So if I want to connect to this server, I can connect as admin. And as you can see, I could also, so now it's connecting me as an admin. And now I also have start, stop, reboot, delete, and so I can manage the server itself. So yeah, and the power and the on clouds, well, the cloud server has shut down, so it's starting up now. While that is starting, we'll let that finish. If you go into one of these servers while I'm connecting, you can see even more data per server. How many sessions have you had? What browser do they use? How long was they logged in? I can see the history over time. What kind of applications do we have published on this server? And so on. What sessions did we have and were they successful or not, and so on. So kind of easy information. Now I've logged in, so I'm logged in to the server itself. Now this is as an admin, so I can install and do stuff here as I like. So as you can see, this is a Windows 2019 server that has, you know, when you install Cameyo, it enables RDS, then it puts a Apache web server on top of this, and it manages the connection settings and the connections to this on top, and it's making it a web app. So you're connecting with HTML5 on top of RDS, but it works really good. So to install an app, you could basically go and download the application, or you can drag and drop some installer to this window, and then you run the installer. And then once you install it, it will show up here. It will see that there's an application here. And then if I want to publish that, I just click that button. I click apply. And now that application will then be, now you can now access your published apps on this place. All right. So now if I go to apps here, I should see that application available. I think it's already here. So it is one of these. So I have the applications here. As an admin, I see all these applications because these are the ones that I can actually go in and look at, and the settings and how they are, you know. I didn't mean to look at that one, but for example, I would go to this one. Not 2021.2. Awesome. This is the one. So this is on the server cluster cloud, and I also had on the on-prem one. And this is enabled unauthenticated access, so it means that I can actually start it without actually having to log in again, because I already logged into the cloud portal. And I can also see if I want to show this in the portal and so on. I can set some variables and stuff like that. So, and how many of these that can run and so on. So if I would like to deploy this to a user, I could show it in the portal. So a user, when they log in, they would not see the servers and so on. They would see the application. So this is kind of what they would see if they log in, and they could just run it. So there's no info, and they can't change anything. And this is the app that I put there now, right? So I could just run that application. So that's one way of enabling an application to a user. Now, I think seeing is believing. So under apps here, we also have something called public, and these are public applications that you can use for testing. So what I'll do is I'll go into this application, Open Office. So one way to access an application is to actually log into the application and see the portal, or to the portal and see the portal applications there. You can also get this link. So if I share this link with someone, they can log into the application. So what I'll do is I will go into, hopefully I will be able to go into the Q&A here. And I will make an announcement, and I will put the link to the application in the chat. So if you feel like you want to test the application, you can just click on that link and it should bring you into the application itself. I'll start the application as well if you don't want to click it yourself. So what happens here now is that it's logging in. As you can see, I put my whole logo on there, but you can customize that as you like. And now we are logged into the session, and I can make a document. This is Open Office, obviously for licensing reasons and so on, and it actually works quite well. So now if I copy data from there and I want to copy it down to my local, so this is my local notepad. This is in the application. It types, you use it as a local application. It works perfectly fine. And as you have the link, you can try that as well. But you know, menus and so on, they are really working fine. So, and then I go out and it will log me out. So that's two ways of accessing the application. You can also, with this link, if you use the link here and you use shortcut here, just place shortcut, that will tell you how you create a shortcut depending on your browser. And you can actually have it as a link, like an application link on your desktop or in your taskbar and so on. So also convenient for the users that may not want to log into the portal before they want to access the application. Obviously, if there's a new device that you're logging in from, it will prompt you for login details and so on. And we are actually using two-factor authentication as well on our portal, using the Azure Active Directory services for that. So it is totally secure. Now, as you click on the application, the server and the portal talks to each other, and it will create a session-based token as well. So, and it will open the ports on the server for the user specifically. So it's very secure, and you can actually use it with just port redirection, and the server is locked down by default, and it has a method of opening up the port on the demand, and it's called Port Shield, is what they have the name for. So quite nice as well. So that was the application access and how you can actually, well, deploy an application. I didn't show how to install it, but it is just on like doing it on any other server, so no point of doing that. And you deploy the application, and you could go in and set settings on the applications, and we looked at that. And you can also, if you have groups, etc., you can deploy what applications are accessed by which group on the application itself. So it's quite simple. Now under admin, we also have company settings. So this is obviously our details of the server, our domain. So this is the domain where we log into. So this is where we want to authenticate and what domain are we using for authentication. And we're using a custom identifier provider. So this is something that Cameyo would have to just set up in conjunction with you to make it work. And then we can also tell the user to connect their Google Drive and so on. So as you see service accounts here, there's Dropbox, Google, and Microsoft. You can have shared accounts there. You can change the logo and so on. One cool thing with Cameyo is if we go into session settings. So if you're logging into a cloud server and you don't, you're creating data there that you need to, well, you don't want it to be stored in the wrong place. So, I mean, I don't know how many discussions we've had about this in the past, but a lot of users save their stuff on the desktop, for example, or they save it onto somewhere where it shouldn't be there. And then as an admin, the computer is gone or the data is gone because it's not being backed up or saved, etc. Now, there is a feature here called replace file open save dialog box. So that will put a wrapper on top of the actual save as dialog. And actually, I will go into so that gives you a wrapper on top of that and locks down, so you cannot save your data anywhere else but in your OneDrive, Google Docs. You can even specify if it's on-prem or if you want to specify a file server, you can do that. So if I do here and I click save now, this is set up so that I show my Dropbox account and I have my Google Drive and then I have my OneDrive, and it basically accesses the OneDrive at the time, and then you can also download the file locally if you allow that. So this means that the user cannot save it. They can't go anywhere. They can't place it on the desktop. So the data has to be saved in the proper location. So quite nice. And this was based on the session settings. And well, you can allow uploads, you can allow downloads, and so on here. Some appearance settings, session controls. So in the session, you can control these settings here. So if you want to have full screen, you can have clipboard. And well, that is, you don't really need that feature, but it depends if you're not using HTTPS, you may need it. And then keyboard. So this is an onboard keyboard so that you can type stuff if you don't have one. And then you can switch between windows in the applications. And then there's a native player as well. This enables some additional features with RDS and some legacy stuff with USB redirection and stuff like that. So that is kind of cool. There is a printing feature within the product itself. So it's using a virtual printer, and that will basically allow you to print your document to your printer locally. But you can also use other third-party ones, but this would open up the print dialog locally, and then you can select your printers that you have locally and print it out as usual. So since it is a Windows server in backend, it could also use something like screwdrivers, for example, to allow more advanced printing with printer namings and so on. We have connection settings. It's more advanced stuff, nothing to do there. Data persistence, what files do we want to display in the session and so on. And then under here we have the portal. Here we can also create users. So if we want to create users to the actual portal itself, we can set up individual users here that are not, not using the central directory server. So, and this would then be if you go to the customer here. Obviously, it's multi-tenants. If you're an admin, if you're an MSP, for example, you can easily do that here and manage everything from one location. Let's see if there are any questions. No questions. No. All right. So as you see, this was where we installed the applications, and we can do stuff there. Now, Cameyo is made for publishing applications itself. You can also have it so that if you want to have multiple applications, there's a way of having published applications and a small toolbar, so you can change to another app. Maybe you need an email application or something as well. It is possible to deploy desktop, but it's not like what it's made for. So there are other solutions that may be better for that specific use case. So I'll log out of that one, and then we'll go back to the PowerPoint. So that was a very short overview of this, and I strongly suggest that you actually sign up for a trial or reach out to us to discuss this. The summary for this is that this is a cloud portal, so it's cloud native, allowing you to access your applications with a web browser from any device without the requirement for VPNs. So quite easy. As you saw in the demo, this is super easy to manage. And what's the catch? Well, I would say that until you actually try it, you don't realize how easy and powerful it is. So go ahead and try it. It's really cool. When I installed the on-prem one, it took me, it takes 30 minutes to make an app work, to put up an app. It took longer time to actually make the Windows, installing Windows and updates and so on, because I did not have a finished image for that. So you can virtualize your apps very easily. So we also are supposed to speak about licensing and pricing, and what I would say then is that the easiest way of doing that is to go to the Cameyo webpage and look at pricing. So under pricing, there are two options, or there are a couple of options. There's an MSP option, and that we can discuss if you're interested in that. The fully hosted means that it's fully hosted in GCP or Azure, and you pay per user per year. This allows it to grow. So if the server reaches a workload of too much, it will grow the elasticity, and it will just be quite powerful for you if you are having a lot of users, and then sometimes you have less users, and then you grow over time depending on maybe the season of the business as well. The self-hosted one allows you to install basically the solution in on-prem, but also in any other cloud solutions. So if if you are a MSP and you have your own cloud data center, you could have that there as well, and you could install it, and that would work just fine. And so there's two options. The pricing is also based on, so this self-hosted, that's an annual payment, minimum of 20 users. So this is whatever it is, $108 per year. And this is the retail price. And if you're a partner, you will have a discount as well. And the fully hosted is actually $30 per user per month, minimum of 10. So this is $360 per user per year. This includes everything you need basically. And this is for what's called 12 hours, 5 days a week. And that is calculated on an average per user. So if the user is not logged in, that is not counted towards the usage. So most people don't work more than 12 hours per day. So this should be fit, and that includes the servers, it includes backup, it includes, the RDS cals, everything is included. Whereas on the on-prem one or the self-hosted one, you need to add RDS cals, etc. as well. So super easy, and we can have a discussion about that as well. We're looking obviously for partners. We have some really great case studies as well in the Nordics that has been done with some of our partners in the Nordics already. So you can go and look at resources, case studies here, and you will have the ones here, and there's 3 of them from Sweden, and there's some others from other countries as well. So this is really interesting to look at and see what others feel about it. And we also have links to this from our webpage if you go in there and check. If you want to try this, you can reach out to your account manager and we will sort you out with a test account. You can register for a free trial here. The one that you get directly is a bit limited on how it can access stuff. So if you come and talk to us first, we will get you a fully functional one from start, and it's due to security reasons. I think we will wrap it up here. Obviously, you can always reach us, say it's at day-to-day-distribution.se, or you can call our office. If there are any questions, etc., then please let us know. I'm checking for any new questions, and there's no new questions today. So what we'll do is we will say thank you for attending the webinar, and we hope to hear from you regarding the Cameyo solution, and have a great day. Thank you.